Hi, if you're tuning in, I'd imagine you're new to the crypto space, so welcome. It's one of the few places on earth that you can ask someone about their bag and not make things awkward.
Daddy, chill.
Swole. Well, let's get into it. What is Bitcoin? Imagine there was a technology created that indiscriminately absorbed electrical energy and stored it as a power source for the future. We are talking about the most sophisticated, technologically advanced financial battery that will probably ever be created in human history. As always, I encourage simplicity in investing. As with anything in life, you can make things as simple or as complicated as you want. And it's extremely easy to become completely absorbed in the investing space. So I suggest don't make it a full-time job. Friends, family, and community are far more important than any investment you could ever make. Bitcoin is in essence a blockchain software that was developed in response to the 2008 financial crisis. It was created on the 3rd of January 2009 when Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, mined the first block on the blockchain, known as the Genesis block. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? That's a good question. It could be a single person or a group of people involved in the creation of Bitcoin. Satoshi is an anonymous entity that disappeared in December of 2010. From the time of Satoshi's disappearance, Bitcoin has been its own decentralized entity existing on the blockchain. It's not a company, there's no management, there's no customer service, it just exists on the blockchain for anyone on the planet to use. The network is run by what is known as miners. What Bitcoin miners are essentially computers all around the world that use algorithms to solve mathematical problems. When these mathematical problems are solved, what it creates is blocks on the blockchain. The block is the processing and validation of the blocks on the blockchain, and the miners are rewarded with the creation of new Bitcoin. Anyone can purchase a Bitcoin mining computer and start mining Bitcoin, but the amount of electricity it takes to solve the difficult transaction blocks generates a large utility cost. This makes mining generate very little profit at a small scale. The positive side to this is that the cost of energy directly correlates to the price of Bitcoin. And this incentivizes miners to use alternative sources of energy, like solar, hydroelectric, steam generation, etc., which are good for the environment, promoting good environmental practices in exchange for higher profits. The purchasing of this tokenized energy actually absorbs fiat currencies. The first benefit is that you've immediately preserved the value of that currency and actually remove that currency from the system, increasing the scarcity of that currency, directly combating inflation. Over the past few years, we've seen nation states like El Salvador adopt Bitcoin as a legal currency to actually help the hyperinflation that they were experiencing. Traditionally, countries suppress their inflation by selling their debt as treasury bonds. But as time goes on, investors are tending to shy away from debt investments. So naturally, we could expect to see more countries adopt Bitcoin as a tool in managing government overspending. The crazy part is citizens have the same ability to fight inflation themselves through investing in Bitcoin. And that is something never before seen in human history. How do you benefit as a Bitcoin holder? If you self-custody properly, you have an asset that is not confiscatable by anyone. Transparency of every transaction made being stored on a public ledger for anyone to see. No limits to storage or freedom. It takes up zero space and you can travel anywhere without limits. You can't do that with cash or gold. Gold is bulky and heavy, and there are limits to the amount of cash you can leave a country with, as well as insurable limits to bank accounts. Bitcoin allows you the freedom to relocate anywhere on the planet without having your net worth taken from you. It has a fast transaction time compared to moving cash, and it has been classified everywhere in the world as property. It has access to an asset superior to gold or real estate, available to anyone in any denomination. You can buy millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin or you can buy pennies worth. It doesn't matter. As I mentioned in a previous video, everything on this planet has a value directly correlated to scarcity. At the time of this recording, there are 19,562,581 Bitcoins in circulation, and there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin ever produced. This means Bitcoin will continue to be more scarce over time. Energy prices rise, Bitcoin rises. Government prints money, Bitcoin rises. Increases of corruption, Bitcoin rises. The amount of people holding Bitcoin and never selling means Bitcoin rises. Yes, it does do its ebbs and flows in price, as does everything else in the world. But if you're a long-term holder, you will always end up ahead. If you ignore the negatives you've heard during bear markets and say you invested $1,000 in January 2014 as a rough 10-year investment, that investment would be worth $54,940 because the price has increased 5,394% in the past decade. A rough 5-year investment and you'd be up 1,082%. That $1,000 would be worth $11,820. And even if you invested in January of this year, the price is currently up 168%. And your $1,000 would be worth $2,680. Yes, there are violent bear markets, usually around every 4 years, but they're normally followed by 3 years of massive growth. We are in year 1 of a post-bear market low. So historically speaking, if you were to invest now, it would be followed by 2 years of massive growth before any historical pullback. Another important consideration to take into effect is that there are 13 companies in the US right now seeking approval from the SEC for Bitcoin ETFs. This would create an influx of capital into the Bitcoin space through traditional investors and companies looking for Bitcoin exposure while still having the protections of FDIC insurance. It is my opinion this will play a big role in taming the volatility that we have seen in the Bitcoin market in the past, and drastically remove a lot of the risk associated with a Bitcoin investment. Today's Bitcoin price is $43,788 and an all-time high of $68,600. And with the price in the next 2 years traditionally far exceeding previous highs, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to see Bitcoin break 100,000 in the next couple of years and eventually hitting $1 million plus, especially with increasing economic pressures that aren't going to be going anywhere. Bitcoin definitely has a place in everybody's investment portfolio as a long-term hold and massive equity accumulator. And if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and join our weekly Crypto Roundtable live stream every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Much love and cheers.